All right, yo, G, what up, B? How you doing, man?
Oh man, back at it again. I'm
Back
good.
at it again.
Yes,
Damn,
sir.
Daniel.
Black vans in the building. You know.
You got the black bands, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. All right, today's episode, Al Pacino, the great Al Pacino. You ready for this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's get this popping, man. We're already starting a little bit late. Al Pacino Chronicles, episode 26. Media chop up starts now. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Serge, aka Serge Rilla. Welcome back to another episode of Media Chop Up. I'm joined by my brother G.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
I forgot my headphones. Let me put my
Thanks
headphones
for
on.
having me.
Absolutely, you're always welcome, brother. Welcome. Check. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There we go. So, yeah, unfortunately, Rick couldn't be here. He was getting a tummy tuck today, so
Yeah,
hopefully he's getting summer ready for the
yeah.
so he
Get
can
the sexy back. That what
get
first hint of warm weather. He got to go get the sexy back. I see.
exactly. I think he wants to sunbathe on his roof, but listen,
Mhm.
to each their own, bro. If you got a roof and you can sunbathe on it, do it, man. Look
Told me
sexy.
He told me he got his belly button waxed, but I said, it's all
hmm
good.
He's
All
probably
good.
he's probably pulling out the speedo and everything.
Oh man.
So Rick, hopefully we see you soon. Feel better, heal up. We love you, man.
Most definitely.
I decided to go a little old school with the whole format of the show and talk about strictly Al Pacino movies. The man, the myth, the legend. Are you a big fan of Al Pacino's?
Um, I'm a fan. I won't say I'm a big fan because I haven't seen half of his movies, but I definitely recognize him for his greatness in the few movies that uh that I have seen.
Okay.
And some of his movies are in my eyes culture classics. So
So many.
definitely a fan.
So
I don't
many.
think I'm qualified to say big fan or super fan because I haven't seen many of them.
Oh man, you gotta and I think the beautiful thing about his movies are um you could watch them and at any point and they're just as great, man. I'll talk about a couple in a little bit. But man, he's I call him legendary because like he's basically done so many roles and he's known for so many speeches and so many slogans and so on from all his movies. He's been so popular. He's not a one hit wonder, two hit wonder. He keeps going on, and he's been doing it for a long time. And another reason why I'm like really drawn to this character, I mean to this guy is because like he's from New York.
Uh,
He's ours. He's New York's own. He was raised in New York,
nice.
and De Niro is another person who's up there in stature.
Mhm.
Pacino and De Niro, and he's another New Yorker. So, born and raised. Much respect to these guys, man. They've done so many roles, and I don't know. I don't know about you. I enjoy watching movies. Back like if I missed an old school movie, I like watching actors early in their career, seeing where they've been and watching. Like for example, I was watching a video that I posted today about Nicolas Cage, and he was talking about all the movies he's been in. Now everyone saw Con Air and saw what else has
Face
he been in?
off,
Huh? What?
face off.
Face Off, the classic Face Off. He's done so many things. He was in a movie with with the lotto ticket, and he was a cop,
Yeah,
and he
cop. I
promised
remember that.
what's her name? What's her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Mookie.
Oh,
She uh,
Rosie.
Ro-
No,
Ro- yeah, Rosie. Is it Rosie?
she was in that Spike
Ro-
Lee movie
Yeah,
too.
it's on my
Do the
tongue
right
too.
thing.
She was
Uh,
in Do the Right Thing. She was in White Man Can't Jump. Classic, but nonetheless, um, so I was watching that, and then I started seeing some movies that he was a part of early in his career, and I really want to go back and watch those things because I truly enjoy watching them in their early stages without being as seasoned and seeing what was so special about them that people saw, you know.
mhm. Rosie Perez.
Rosie Perez, so close, so close. It was like on the tip of my tongue. Thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, man. So there's so many great Al Pacino movies. In fact, what should we do? I was gonna just kind of name a couple of great Al Pacino movies. I actually reached out to a couple people at the last minute and asked people to give me their versions of Al Pacino, like a little reenactment. And some people actually gave me some stuff at the last second, and it's pretty dope. And listen, you can. I was watching this thing on YouTube and basically so many different people impersonating Al Pacino, his characters in all these different movies, but it's been done over and over again. In Friday, he was acting like Al Pacino in that, and in Money Talks.
Money Talks. Chris
Tucker was doing it, and he's like, it goes up.
Yeah.
He's like, I slap people for fun.
Yeah.
So like, this stuff, it happens, and it's automatically people are trying to impersonate him. And in all honesty, Al Pacino has that raspy voice.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to really impersonate him, But like, all you gotta do is basically try to say one of his you throw a Spanish accent or a horrible Spanish accent, say one of his slogans, and then you're basically doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got one for me or no?
Nah, not yet, but I have one before we go.
Who put this shit together? Me. That's who. Right? Scarface, right? All right. So I got a few of them. I'll share them. I think the best one was Dan, but I'll save his for last. So this is my cousin Isaac. Let me know what you think about this one.
Okay.
Hooah!
Short and sweet.
You know where that's from?
He does that in a lot of his movies, but no, I don't.
No, he started in one movie, but he's known. This role is awesome. Is early in his career. He plays a Marine that was blinded from being at war. But he's doing the hoo-ah because that's what Marines do. Marines yell hoo-ah, right? But that was his version of it. Do it again.
Hoo-ah!
All right, so Isaac did another one for me too. Let's get this one.
Fly, Pelican. Come on, Pelican.
Where's that from? Come on, you gotta get this.
No idea.
You gotta get this. Fly, Pelican?
Pelican?
Yes.
Nah.
It's the classic Scarface. And in Scarface,
I don't remember that line in Scarface.
I'll tell you when. So when he's in the bathtub, right? And then his henchmen are walking around the bathtub, and then his lady's walking around the bathtub, and he has this remote, and he has his arms up like this, right? He has a TV on, and the TV is actually showing pelicans, right? And then he tells there's a point where you see a bunch of pelicans just flying away, right? Oscar said Tony Montana. Yes, exactly. Right. So when the pelicans start flying away, he goes, "Fly, pelican, fly!" And look at the pelican fly, right? His accent, and that's basically.
He had a bad accent.
He had a horrible accent, but that movie was great for so many reasons. And I think if modern age, if somebody made a movie like that now, it wouldn't fly. People would torch that thing, But it was definitely a big part of history. Hey, what's up, Oscar? So let's get into the last one. I'm sorry. From my buddy Orlando. Let me know what you think about this one.
Do you know who I am? I'm Tony Montana. You fucking cockroach.
Well, that tells you where it's from. What movie? That's from Scarface. And Scarface is that cult classic of everybody. Mostly everybody loves Scarface for so many reasons. The soundtrack, the actors that were in it, the popularity. That movie was great on so many levels. We'll dive into that in a little bit. But so many people, man. It's a hood classic. It really is a hood classic, right? He said, "Oh, that's Rick. He does terrible accents, but he keeps getting cast for them." I guess so, right? People are just like they want the Al Pacino energy, and it becomes legendary. So
Yeah.
hey, if it's gold, you don't mess with the recipe, I guess, right? So, and then the last one, which I think is the best accent or impersonation of Al Pacino. This is from Any Given Sunday, right? From the famous halftime speech, right? Here's Dan.
I don't know what to say, really. 3 minutes, and the biggest battle of our professional lives all comes down to today. And either we heal as a team, or we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen.
Yes.
Oh man.
Classic. Thank you,
Oh,
Smitty.
man.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Orlando. All epic. I think Orlando had another one that he sent me, but I didn't get a chance to upload it. I'll try to upload it by the end of the show. But those are really good impersonations. Thank you, guys. If anybody else wants to send me some, I try to get some more. Steven, he chickened out the last second. Mamalejos. He's like, I don't know. I don't think I do it well. I said, no, bro, you can do it with a Chinese accent. It's still gonna be good because you're gonna know what movie it is, you know. But you know, it's all good, right? You can still send it to me, Rick. If you want to do one real quick, send it to me. I'll upload it. We'll make it happen, man. We gotta, we can share it. Between your tummy tuck, you know. But all right. So as he's making one and sending it, right? See, Rick said thumbs up. He said thumbs up. I'm gonna make one, right? All right. So as we're doing that, let's talk about some Pacino movies. So, which is your favorite Pacino movie?
My personal. Is, who was that? The last video you just showed doing the impersonations?
That was Dan.
That was Danny.
Sunday.
Yeah, Danny pulled from one of my favorite Al Pacino movies.
And that is what?
Any Given Sunday.
Wow, Any Given Sunday. Yeah, there was so many big stars in this. This was the who's who of a football movie, and you had Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, James Woods, Jamie Foxx, LL Cool J. You had Jim Brown, the legendary Jim Brown from the NFL. You had Terrell Owens, Ricky Waters, all these actual NFL players, current and past.
Owens or Elvis?
Oh, Lawrence Taylor, my guy. Lawrence Taylor, the legend. He actually got inducted to the Hall of Fame when this movie aired. Not saying that this had anything to do with it, but he was in the movie theaters while he got inducted in, that same year.
Nice. You know who else is in it? Bill Bellamy.
Bill Bellamy was great. He was a wide receiver in that. Yes, absolutely. So Any Given Sunday was a great movie with so many things that have never been done in a football movie. I think it's the best of football movies, and getting the Pacino to be a part of it as a coach with the speech and everything. I think that was huge. It was on the bigger scale of movies, because you had everybody in this. You had all these stars, like an all-star cast.
Definitely. And I'll be honest, it's not one of my favorite movies because of Al Pacino, but it's more so because of one of my favorite one of my favorite what do you call them, entertainers, I want to say, my boy Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. Did I not mention him? I'm bugging.
You said it in the casting.
Okay.
In the casting. He was still considered, I guess, new and upcoming at that time. But he's been one of my favorites for many, many years. I think
he was more comedy at that time. So people try to typecast him into that comedy role. He had the Jamie Foxx show. He was on The Living Color, but he didn't do anything serious or anything to really prove his stage cred,
Right, exactly. And I just thought, he's one of the best, what you call triple threat entertainers.
Definitely.
Of my time.
People slept on him, especially with the singing. They were like, yo, either you're an actor, a comedian, or a singer. You can't be all of them.
Yeah.
And he's actually proven, he's made hits on the radio. He makes good music. He can play the piano. He can play instruments. and he can freaking act his ass off, bro. He's proven it over. He played Ray Charles.
Yep. And on top of that, what really impresses me about him is that when you find comedians that transfer into filmmaking, movies, and TV, they are playing parts of comedians. That's right. That's right. And you know about that Mary. You know what I'm saying? My man Rick knows. He knows the significance of that song. I'll share that with y'all another time.
Right over my head.
Huh? I'll have to share it with you another time.
Okay.
But he's one of the only comedian actors that has done movies where he was not required to be the funny person in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you think of your top, like Kevin Hart, all of it's funny. Eddie Murphy, even when it's like silly movies, it's still a form of comedy. Family friendly. Martin Lawrence, same thing, comedy driven. And anybody else you could think of, I tend to compare him to Eddie Murphy because Eddie Murphy has actually put out music as well.
He has, and he was successful. Not in the same way, right? But he has range,
right?
And he's proven it. He was in that movie where they had to all sing and
the Beyonce movie.
Yes. I
forgot what it was called, but yeah, back in the days.
Yeah, so I was very impressed with him.
Was Jamie Foxx in that as well?
I don't know. Everybody, a lot of people were in that one. There was so many people in that
movie. Yeah.
But but we digress. So you got anything else about Any Given?
Any Given? Well, yeah. I had to look up a little bit just to add to it. What I found out was that a lot of times they get help from like NFL players.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They get help from different people within the NFL to make the movie, but the NFL didn't help out with the film in any way. So it was all pretty much from the writers and the director's vision.
Yeah, they actually try to get in the way of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought that was pretty dope because, like you said, it's one of the best football movies, of our time. I think it's one of the better football movies. Also, a great fact was that Robert De Niro actually turned down the role that Al Pacino took.
Yep. You know who else? You know who else turned that down?
Who that?
Who else turned down? So Tony D'Amato, right, is the head coach of this team called the Sharks, right? So Robert De Niro actually did turn down the casting for Tony D'Amato, which is the head coach that Al Pacino accepted. You know who else turned it down?
Who that?
Clint Eastwood.
Really?
Bro, I could not picture this movie with a Clint Eastwood, man. Like this movie, it was raw and but
what's funny about Clint Eastwood is that even when he's yelling, he's whispering.
Yeah. I got to work on the face and the Clint Eastwood.
Even when he's yelling, he's whispering. So,
bro, you couldn't. Pacino gave that halftime speech, and bro, I had that on my MP3 player. I played that video, that audio a million times. It's such an inspirational speech. You know where that speech came from?
No, I do not.
It's actually a real speech. It's Al Pacino's final rallying speech for the team before the game is based on a rallying speech by a real-life NFL coach, Marty Schottenheimer, gave to the Cleveland Browns during the 1989 AFC Championship game.
So they pulled what aspects from it, or is it the exact speech?
I'm pretty sure they pulled most of it and then just kind of adjusted it a little bit. Yeah, but who knows? Maybe it is the same exact speech. I don't know. But Marty Schottenheimer, did he pass away recently? He might have passed away recently. I'm not certain, but he was involved in. He was a mastermind in the NFL, and he actually led the Eagles. There's a movie where him and where he led the Eagles to they were like a 0-16 team or something like that, and they were horrible. And then basically he took over and completely turned the place around. And he was the first coach to actually open up tryouts to fans because they were like, listen, if we can't find any talent through college and other means, then we'll try out our local talent. So a lot of local talent tried out, and one guy actually made it. And what's his name played that role? It's on the Mark Wahlberg. And so he's been involved in a lot of things, and he's actually one of those coaches that will give you the shirt off his back, but he's also not a man to be scared to show emotion. So he's been seen crying a lot of times, like while giving speeches and stuff like that. But very inspirational, and I thought it was interesting that for Any Given Sunday they pulled that speech for this, and it worked well. I loved it.
Yeah.
But I've watched this movie a million times, man. I'm a huge football fanatic, so I watched a lot of the behind the scenes. A lot of the players, while they were filming this, were making it difficult because you have a script. Okay, in the script, this guy is going to run the ball, and this guy's going to get tackled by this guy. He's going to juke this guy, but then all of a sudden, people stop doing what they were supposed to do. And then the director had to be like, guys, this is not an NFL tryout. We don't give a fuck about what you guys do in this field, okay? Do what you're told to do. We're filming, okay? Forget the egos. No one cares. This is just a story, Yeah. So you had a lot of machismo out there.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the opening scene to the movie is Quaid. What was his name in the movie?
Dennis Quaid.
Dennis Quaid. Cap Rooney.
Yeah, Cap Rooney.
Cap Rooney. Opening scenes in the movie is with him getting hit, that injury, the main injury that took him out of the game.
Yeah. And
they said, man, they wanted that hit to be so powerful and to be so realistic that the actual stunt though tore his ACL.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
Tore his ACL now. I think I read somewhere they said, damn, I don't want to misquote it because I don't remember the name of the movie, but the director, which was Oliver Stone, he had them watch a movie based on World War II.
Ben-Hur?
No, it wasn't Ben-Hur, and I should have wrote that down. I didn't remember, but he wanted the cast that would be playing football.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted them to see that, so that they can embody the brutality of war and to infuse that into the brutality of football.
It's crazy you say that because I was reading that he actually had a Ben-Hur playing on the TV in a certain part of the movie when Willie Beeman went to Coach D'Amato's house, and basically they were trying to bury the hatchet and be on the same page, but they had that playing in the background. They wanted it to be symbolic what was happening. He's a gladiator? Is he working with his teammates? Is he not? Is he an individual? Is he, and then also the savagery of it all, so I thought that was interesting that you say that, because obviously he employed that idea in different ways in different times in the movie,
Yeah. Oh no, it was actually Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
Was the movie that he had them watch.
Interesting. Okay.
And he was like, he was quoted saying like he didn't really, he wasn't too fond of some of the dialogue in the movie, but he thought the brutality of it was important.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's interesting, and I respect that idea of doing that. To basically kind of get everybody on the same page and adopt the same idea. Louis Gabriel basically said that he has every Al Pacino movie, and I have a lot of them. I can't say I have all of them.
That's an awesome collection.
It is, and I would be proud of that, man. But he's been a part of so many. Like, I'll name a few, right? Hold on. I'll name a few. Obviously, Scarface, the classic Scarface, Devil's Advocate, Godfathers, right? Heat, where he finally was in the same movie with De Niro and he was facing him in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Al Pacino was in Carlito's Way. You know, he was in what else was he in? Scent of a Woman. He was in do I have that? Yeah, I have that here. Scent of a Woman. All right, that was a great movie. If you haven't seen that, watch that.
I got so overwhelmed just looking at the movies he was in, and I was so surprised that some of them I had never heard of.
Dog Day Afternoon. That was an interesting movie. Like, you can keep going, but you're right. Like, there's no way for me to see all the movies he's been in. I don't know. Maybe I should try to slowly but surely catch up on all the movies I haven't seen. But I think his style is pretty much duplicated in different ways in every movie. Like his yell and his passion. You know, he kind of like spazzes out. And that's something he's been known for, you know, and people appreciate him for. So you can expect a lot of that anger.
He has to have dope speeches in all his movies, like a dope line, a dope saying, or something.
Definitely.
And Devil's Advocate is actually like probably my second favorite.
That's a good movie.
movie.
I saw the final speech the other day, and I was thinking about putting a couple of these speeches on this show, but then also with YouTube, these people get credit, and they want to edit your stuff, so it's not worth it. That's why I figured I'll have people give me their own renditions, and then we'll take it from there. Right, Isaac?
Hooah!
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, man. I mean, Epic. He's been a part of so many. How about this? I got a question for you. Willie Beeman, right? Quarterback, right? Jamie Foxx.
Yep.
Right. Who was supposed? Do you know some of the people who was supposed to be cast as Willie Beeman?
At that time, shit, I couldn't even think of it.
Bro, it's people you wouldn't even think of. Let me check this comment real quick. It has taken me 10 years to watch. I can imagine, man. Like that's a lot of movies, bro. I gotta find out how many exact movies he's been a part of, because he's part of all these different shows. You can search it now, but he keeps going, bro. He's in a lot of things right now. The Irishman is something I want to watch. I heard that was good, but I haven't got a chance to. But don't even sweat it, right?
At least 66.
Well, that's a lot. So Willie Beeman, the first person who was actually supposed to be Willie Beeman. Are you ready for this?
Let's go.
Sean P. Diddy Combs.
Really?
Yes. And then what happened was, I wrote it right here. Sean Combs was initially cast as Willie Beeman, but scheduling conflicts supposedly caused him to drop out, leaving the role to Jamie Foxx. Other sources cite that when the football experts began working with Combs on quarterback drills, they quickly realized that he had zero athletic throwing experience. They knew he could never be convincing as a pro QB, whereas Fox was a natural athlete and a quick learner at that position. Bro, Diddy, he's a great man in many regards, but athleticism is not one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. And Cap Rooney, you know who else was supposed to be cast as Cap Rooney besides Dennis Quaid?
Who's that?
It's horrible. Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold?
Yes. Like,
that's a terrible pick.
Well, listen, they didn't choose him, but the point is that these are the people that they were considering, man.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it's a star-filled show. The cast is like ridiculous. So you're trying to get people from all genres, all aspects, but
what's up, Ahmed? Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, listen, I'm glad they didn't cast Clint Eastwood. I'm curious, Robert De Niro can never do the job Al Pacino. I'm not saying he's not as great of an actor or whatever, but Pacino was made for this, okay? Sean Combs, I didn't even tell you who the other ones. So besides Sean Combs, you know who else was supposed to be Willie Beeman?
Who that?
Cuba Gooding Jr. And he declined because he said, "Nah, I'm already part of another football movie." He was a part of Jerry Maguire.
Right?
So he didn't want to bite off more than he can chew. And in all honesty, I don't think Cuba Gooding is the best actor. I think he's a good actor. I think he's good in certain things. I think he's horrible in in movies where he has to play bad, he's not a bad guy. He's not a convincing bad guy.
Oh
right?
yeah, I seen
Right.
that corny movie. That was a straight to DVD movie
He
that
was
he did as an assassin or something.
he was convincing as a wide receiver, but the whole movie wasn't about football. It was about love and loyalty, right? The loyalty that he had with Tom Cruise and how he stuck with him, and family and stuff like that, right? It was a love story, right? But this is a football movie where you have to play quarterback, where you're doing these cutscenes, and you're just basically, you have to sell it. You got to do handoffs and pivots from getting the snap and all those different things, man. So you got to be able to sell those things, right?
Yeah.
Diddy was in the sequel or prequel of Carlito's Way. Yes, he was, and basically, Diddy is not a horrible actor. He's an okay actor. He's an okay actor, but I found it comical in that prequel or sequel. I don't remember which. It was like a prequel. I don't remember. Whatever. But it was comical, his role. But that Carlito's Way didn't stand up in any way to the original, but it was entertaining. It was actually not a bad story, and I liked it. Did you see it?
No.
Okay. It's not bad, but he played almost like the Godfather of Harlem, P. Diddy, and then he had this like driver that was always hungry. He was like, "Why you always got to eat in the car?" He was like, "Oh, I was hungry. So it was comical, but my point is, Diddy cannot play a detailed role like this with the camera in your face, a bunch of cameras in your face. First of all, Any Given Sunday is the Super Bowl of all movies, because like they actually built cameras that basically were attached to you. So they had these cameras that basically didn't bounce that much, but it was like kind of like that technology, so it wouldn't shake the camera too much. Mm-hmm. So as you made a juke or whatever, when you see those moves, the camera's in front of him and behind him, and it's basically there to capture his look, his face when he sees defenders coming up on him, and also see the defenders coming up on him. It was actually, they changed the way a lot of that stuff was filmed. It wasn't all aerial. It was up close and personal, and the stuff was basically mounted on them. When you see the behind the scenes, you'll see a lot of that. So
what this movie shows is that it's hard to act like you're good at a sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
when it comes to a contact sport like that, and especially the quarterback's position,
absolutely, especially the point is that anybody can play it, but can you sell it? And that's the difference right there. And listen, you've seen a lot of movies, cop movies, where you have actors play the bad guy and they're not really a convincing bad guy. Again, you can cast anybody to do it, and they may have a big name and they have a long resume, but are they good at playing the bad guy, right? Like, totally off topic. Robin Williams has been making us laugh his whole career. Right? But a lot of these actors who are very involved in comedy want to switch it up, and they want to get involved in things that are a lot more serious, or things that make an impact, based on true stories, whatever. He played a role in Photo, 1 Hour Photo.
Yes,
right?
I saw that.
And I felt it was masterful. He played this guy that was like super friendly, but super secretly obsessed with somebody through photos. And I watched that movie and I was like, wow, this is completely opposite of what he normally does. My point is that not anybody can pull that off. And, especially in, where they have state-of-the-art cameras in your face catching split action, this fast-paced game. And then you have somebody who can't sell the handoff. Like, that's one thing I don't like, is when you're watching a sports movie, you could tell that person really sucked, or like, they should have certain basic things down and they don't. That irks me, So especially in a game of football, But let me see.
So, let me ask you a question. Why do you think the NFL didn't want to help out in the making of the movie?
before I answer that question, I'm gonna read you this point. Much of the movie was based on the book "You're Okay is Just a Bruise," a doctor's sideline secrets about pro football's most outrageous team by Rob Huizenga. Right now, to answer your question, there were a lot of secrets that the NFL didn't want to be out there.
Right.
And then by touching on this story, you're basically first of all they wanted the NFL to be involved. They wanted to say, can we use some of your NFL teams in this movie? And they said, hell no, and we will not help you. And they basically made it so difficult where they had to stop filming for a certain period of time because NFL got in the way. So, and then they even told players, like, without threatening them, you're not, do not be a part of this movie, and they said it in very bold words. I forget the exact words from when I was reading, but people were like, yeah, I don't care, right? Because you had Terrell Owens, and then what's funny is that Terrell Owens still used his name, right? He just changed his jersey number, right? Mm-hmm. The great wide receiver Terrell Owens. You had retired Ricky Waters, the running back from the Philadelphia Eagles. You had the legendary Hall of Famer Jim Brown as one of the coaches. You had Lawrence Taylor, the retired Lawrence Taylor. That movie was epic on so many different levels. You had so many NFL players that are playing and not playing that were involved in this movie. There was no way they weren't going to be a part of this movie with all the star power and everything that went involved in it. NFL likes to get in the way of these things. For example, there was this series. It only lasted one season. I wanted to dedicate an episode towards it. It was called Playmakers, and it actually has Cuba Gooding Jr.'s younger brother playing one of the pivotal roles. The NFL and ESPN actually sponsored this show. It wasn't TNT, it wasn't any HBO, it was ESPN. So people were like, wow, the first show that you ever sponsor is a show where it's going against the NFL when your job is actually to report on the NFL. It's pretty crazy. So the NFL, man, they did not want this thing to get out, but they aired the first season. If you're gonna buy this DVD set, it costs maybe $200 now. $200 now because they basically the NFL bought all of them and removed all of them. You know how there's certain movies that last forever and you can find someone that's selling them? Well, guess what? If you're gonna buy one, it's obviously used because they bought all the copies so they can basically destroy them. And what was shown on that season was drug use. Bias to gay players. It showed abuse for injuries and the way the teams used to hide certain injuries, and the NFL does not want that to be put out there as true or untrue it is as it is. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty intense. So the NFL tried to stonewall this movie, but there was no way they were going to stop this movie.
Yeah. Well, you can see how that was one of what's his name? Woods. What's the actor's name? Woods.
Yeah, Mike Woods. No, not Woods. I know
James Woods. I think
James Woods. Yeah. I love James Woods. Yeah,
he's excellent as well.
Yeah.
It definitely was an eye opener as how they don't tell the players the severity of their injuries because the players don't want to hear it. They just want to get back out there anyway.
That's another point. Yeah.
Right. Like, and it also touches on concussions and things like that later came out.
Yep.
It also hints a little bit, I think, if I remember correctly, on steroid use.
Oh yeah, big time. It showed sex, sex outside of there, like the way that entitlement with the NFL players, all that stuff, all that bad stuff. They showed it.
Yeah, LL sniffing a white powdery substance off of a woman's boobs.
That was based off a true story. LT was known to get high. Yeah. He's a legend in my book, but he's lived a rough life from his perspective, and he's gone on record saying it. What's funny is that the word "fuck" was spoken 117 times during the movie.
I did read that.
And then also
back then that was a big deal.
Yeah, definitely. And the movie was actually supposed to be titled "The League" instead of Any Given Sunday.
Yeah, and they also didn't use any pro football stadiums. They used the Orange Bowl.
That's a good point. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So, pretty epic. I enjoyed it, but to be honest, like just like you said, so to your point, that movie was not great, but just because of Al Pacino. But Al Pacino was a part of it, right? That movie was great. You had Oliver Stone, you had James Woods, you had Lawrence Taylor, you have so many people, Cameron Diaz, like so many people were part of this. You had actual NFL coaches that were involved in this, that played coaches and played referees, and there's a lot of storyline that went into it.
And you know what? Cameron Diaz doesn't get her credit for that movie.
She doesn't.
I think she did very well in that movie. I think her acting was very well. She did good at creating that character. You didn't know if you should like her or not. Then at the end, you really hated her.
Yeah.
She did a very good job. And my opinion is that she's looked at as like one of those the ditzy actresses of Hollywood. But she did a really good job there.
She has. She definitely has. And I was actually surprised that they chose her. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to her, but just like for a movie like this, I just didn't see her in the football realm,
right?
But that doesn't mean that she doesn't have the know-how or whatever. But she did it well, and I enjoyed it. Louis Gabriel said basically the remake of The Godfather is coming soon. I don't know how you guys feel about that. How do you guys feel about The Godfather coming out soon? Are you optimistic or pessimistic about it? And he also said, I lost count of how many movies I have. It's over 9,000 or more. Bro, do you live in a warehouse?
Right.
Do you have so many movies? I love movies. I used to collect movies. I think my count ended at about 600. And then I said I gotta stop. And then with the way everything is audio, like streaming now and everything, and now I get everything on my Fire Stick. I don't. If something is epic, I want to own it. But otherwise, I can just pull it up, and it doesn't take up space, man. And I'm not gonna get rid of what I have, but I have a lot of stuff.
Not looking to add to it, yeah.
So
concerning remakes, if it's a classic and the acting was excellent, I don't want it. But if it's an action packed movie,
John Devlin said, "Are they really remaking The Godfather?"
Right.
Listen,
there's no reason to remake that because
finish your point on that. I'll touch on that in a second.
Yeah. I just think like if it's an old school classic movie that was full of action and crappy special effects of the early days, then yeah, we're all for it because we'd all love to see the updated graphics with a familiar storyline. But if this is just a traditional classic movie, not a lot of special effects, not a lot of explosions and things like that, man, you gotta leave it alone.
Unfortunately, Hollywood is just in the business of remaking everything. They just they made this much money back then, and they try to start. It's everyone. It's the copycat world we live in, man. There's very little originality, man. And just so you know, Scarface was actually a '50s movie that wasn't that great, but the remake was actually with Pacino. But the storyline was changed drastically. The original Scarface was actually from the 50s, with like Tommy guns and all those old school caboose cars and everything, right? But Scarface, the storyline was completely opposite. But they adopted the idea from that and then made Scarface. And in Scarface, basically, there's certain movies that come on the scene that basically take us by storm, and it was great for so many reasons. First of all, that movie was given a porn rating because it had too many curses and too much violence, right? I forget what's the porn rating. It's not
worse than R.
They wouldn't even get an R, bro. So like they basically kept submitting it and they kept getting sent back, and then they submitted and it got sent back, and they submitted it and it got sent back. This movie was not gonna get made, bro. It was too violent. It was too violent. And then finally, the cut that we all learned to love and watch a million times. Well, guess what? They finally they dumbed it down, but it's still violent, right? But what's funny is that I think they just got tired of like, all right, fine, we're not gonna watch this anymore. Okay, fine. You took out, you know, this amount of curse words, and you like, for example, there's a scene where the guy has his arms cuffed above his head in the bathroom, and the Colombians are basically saying, "Where's your buddy? Or where the drugs? Where's the yayo? Where's the yayo?" Right? And he's like, "I'm not telling you." So they're like, "Oh, you're not gonna tell us?" And Pacino was tied up like this, right? And he was like, "All right, then I'm gonna kill your friend," and basically took a buzzsaw, right? A chainsaw, and basically took it to his head, right? So now what they did was, as a part of the edit, they cut the scene. So when they put it to him, you see his eyes roll in the back of his head, and then it cuts to showing blood rolling down a curtain. And that was their improvise. But otherwise, they were showing shit. They were showing like some serious things and the curses, and the term yayo was coined in that movie. People didn't call cocaine the yayo. Give me the yayo. Where's the yayo? Right? So then that became like a huge freaking classic, right? Where everyone was like, you know, copying that and pretending to be Tony. And then he has so many memorable parts of that movie where he's like, let me see, let me get some. Let me see if you I was just reading what people were Scarface is a perfect example. Take a mid-level movie and make it better. Don't remake a classic. It'll never be as good. That's my point. They just want to remake everything, man. There's no respect for anything. They want to do Barry Gordon's The Last Dragon, but the owner is actually holding on to the rights, and he's like, nope. The only way is if I'm involved and I have a say in it, and Hollywood said no. So he's actually thinking about making that into a play, right, on Broadway, a Broadway play, and then he has more of a hand of how it's going to be handled. And because truth be told, man, once you let go of your baby, you have no control. Who they cast, the changes in the storyline, all that stuff, man. So, you know, like, unfortunately, people watch it, man. People go to the movies because there's nothing else to watch. Oh, I got nothing to do. I'll watch this movie, you know. Like, I don't believe in supporting stuff like that, you know. So it's the nature of the beast, you know. What did I meant to say? You like my Cadillac? It's a little cream puff, right? Yeah, he could say so many different things, right? He said so many things. Or his dancing, when he was dancing with Michelle Pfeiffer, I forgot how his dancing was. Hilarious. And when you watch that movie over and over again, it was so horrible, but we learned to love it. We love that movie. I can watch that movie over and over again and just laugh at so many different parts of it, you know, the iconic scenes. That's what I want to call them. They're iconic scenes. You know, when he says fly pelican, or say goodnight to the bad guy, or who put this shit together? Me. That's who. You know, or the best scene, which is him right here behind me. Say hello to my little friend.
Wait.
Right?
He said that?
Yes.
That's from Scarface, right? Who put this shit together?
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? You said it's still in today's you know, movie classic history.
Yep.
Puffy is screaming that on Khaled's new album. He's screaming that line.
Classic. Because, you know,
21.
people love this stuff, man. And she's so polluted she can't have no kiss. Right? Yeah. And I was surprised Michelle Pfeiffer was in this movie. I really was, man, because like she had to be high. She was high all the time, and you know, I just didn't expect her to play that character. You know, she seemed more of a goody to me, but
yeah.
But she's a part of history because, you know, this movie has got etched into history, you know. Yeah. But so many great movies, man. So let's move on to the next one because we've been talking on this for a minute, any given Sunday, and then we kind of moved over to Scarface. So a bunch of other great classics. When picking mine, I try to pick a movie that is great, but not many people may have seen it. So okay. I'm gonna go with the classic based on a true story, Serpico.
Okay.
Right now, Serpico. Yeah, I have it right here. An honest New York cop named Frank Serpico blows whistle on rampant corruption in the force only to have his comrades turn on him. Serpico is a cop in the early 1960s to 1970s. Unlike all his colleagues, he refuses to share of the money that the cops are routinely extorting from local criminals. Nobody wants to work with Serpico, and he's in constant danger of being placed in life-threatening positions by his partners. Nothing seems to get done, even when he goes to the highest of authorities. Despite the dangers he finds himself in, he still refuses to go with the flow in the hope that one day the truth will be known. So this is based on a true story in New York City. And I think it's epic that a guy from New York gets the opportunity to play another guy from New York in a real life story in the NYPD that goes up against the whole NYPD. And basically the level of corruption was like everywhere. It was everywhere. When you watch this movie, now I watched this movie again. I watched it a long time ago. I watched it again the other day, and I was enjoying it for so many reasons. The way he dresses, the way he acts, the scenery, the storyline. Like I truly was loving it. I was just loving so much about it. I couldn't get enough of it. You know, the way he dressed like he was like a real hip guy, right? In fact, I got some pictures, right? I got some pictures of the original Frank Serpico and Al Pacino, so you can see how they got like I think they got a great looking actor, especially back then. You got Al Pacino on the right and Frank Serpico on the left, right? This is Frank Serpico right here, right? And he was like a very, very, very charismatic guy. He had the finest of women. He didn't want to settle down, but he was able to win a lot of people over. In the movie, he ended up getting a sheepdog, and this is actually Frank Serpico back in the day with his sheepdog. Nice. Right? I think this is in Sheepshead Bay, as a matter of fact. Man, maybe I could be wrong. Right, Frank Serpico, the man. Yeah. Man, that movie was so good. It tells the story of a guy who stands by his beliefs no matter what. People threaten him, and as he moved up the chain in the NYPD, he ended up retiring as a detective, okay. a Gold Star, a Gold Shield detective. The corruption was even bigger. So, like, as he went to a different department, they were extorting even more money. So they basically were saying, like, listen, that money back then, that's nothing. That was chump change. This right here, this is $3,000 a month. This is $5,000 a month. This is blah, blah, blah. You know, like they had their hands in everything. And it wasn't just the cops, man. It was the sergeants. It was the lieutenants. It was the higher ups. So whenever he went higher up, they were a part of it too, and they had to play like, yeah, okay, we'll take care of it. And they didn't want to clean up. He had to go to the outside authorities in order to basically tell his story, because he realized that his life was in danger. And they ended up biting him in the ass because he ends up getting shot due to an incident where people didn't back him up. His partners didn't back him up because they basically were like, let him die. And if it wasn't for a neighbor making the call for an ambulance, he would have probably bled out.
Wow.
So let me see what else I have here. It says many of his fellow officers consider him the most dangerous man alive, which is an honest cop. Which says a lot. That's pretty crazy, right? He resigned from the police department on June 15, 1972. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for conspicuous bravery in action. Serpico moved to Switzerland for some time before realizing he didn't like it there, and then he moved back to upstate New York, and he sometimes works as a guest lecturer for police academies across the United States. So it's a very powerful story, man. If you haven't seen it, check it out on the Fire Stick that I hooked you up with.
Yes, sir.
It was actually what was it? Oh, he was actually a part of the 81st precinct, which was in Bed-Stuy. That's where he started. Then they kept trying to move him so he wouldn't make a problem somewhere. So like they moved him to the Bureau of Criminal Identification, which is BCI, which is basically just studying freaking fingerprints, bro. They figured they'll just stuff him indoors where and then he kept making a stink, and people looked at him like he was an outcast. But in theory, like he was like a pretty cool dude, like. So Frank Serpico was actually involved in the shooting of this, but they had to remove him because they felt like he was causing too much of a conflict. And
Really?
and Al Pacino was actually such a method actor that he was so in when they cut filming and then they had off time, he was still in character, and he was actually in the city and he was driving, and he got so upset. He was still in uniform and everything. He pulled the guy out of his car, showed his badge, and threatened to write him a ticket for pollution, for vehicle pollution or something like that. He was like so angry, and then he realized, holy shit, I'm just an actor. Like, I'm not really a cop, you know. So I think that was interesting, you know. Woo, that was a lot.
That's not so strange now when they was dogging my man, the late great DMX, for impersonating a cop. Once you play a cop, man, it's empowering. It's hard to give that.
When I heard that, I thought that was so funny. I wish I had a camera, a shot of that, of DMX pulling someone over, because there was a point where DMX couldn't miss in the movies. He was hitting, and he looked good while he was doing it. So I can picture him pulling the freaking badge out of his shirt, like license registration, you know. But you know, actually, Robert Redford was actually supposed to play Serpico in this movie, because he was like super hot and all the stuff that he was doing at that time. A lot of times, these movies are all about who's hot, man, and who they did really good with that movie. I want him in my movie, you know, not necessarily casting the best one, you know.
Yeah.
Ahmed wrote to go back to Scarface. He was, I thought you were no kiss, but you didn't listen. Look at you now. You're dead. I'm horrible with
the accent.
Yeah. You got a little Pacino for me or no?
Nah,
are you still not ready?
Why
I gotta be the only one, man?
Oh man, I got nothing for you.
Let me see see Rick, you never sent me that thing. You said you were gonna send me a Pacino and you never sent it. All right, it's all good. I understand you're scared. You know, whatever. So yeah, I chose that movie because I felt like a lot of people may not be hip to it, and you know, it's a really, really good movie. Serpico. It's actually from 1973. You know, this actually came out before I was born, 7 years before I was born. So for me to watch it now, and that brings me to my point. Sometimes you can watch a movie, in my opinion, that isn't current, right, and still enjoy it,
right,
and I'll realize the value or the way it hit back then. Like, whoa, this is a good movie. You know, even though you're just watching it now. I was watching Serpico, and I was appreciating it for the rawness of the way they were filming it. The you know, all the different places. They were in the Bronx, they were in Brooklyn, they were in Manhattan. All those little raw little visuals and everything. Like, it's a really good movie. It's a really, really good movie, and Pacino definitely sold that. He knocked that role out the park, you know. So moving on. Next movie I think is worth mentioning. You know, I'm not going to keep going on, but like, you have obviously Carlito's Way, which is classic. Please watch that movie if you haven't seen it. When he's locked in the bathroom, and then he has the gun, and then he runs out of shots, and then what he says after that is, people have imitated that. In fact, this movie was so great, it spilled its way, it's bled its way into rap music. Jay-Z's album, it was on Jay-Z's album. They had a dude that impersonated.
Okay, I'm reloaded.
Okay, I'm reloaded. And then fucking with Jay-Z, you're gonna die big time. Here come the pain. You know, like, so many different Al Pacino isms were used on that album and other people's albums and other people's songs. It was so popular. Movies were just bleeding into music, man. It was hand in hand, and it was like one of those cuts that you didn't skip. You wanted to hear it, you know. Also, we have, let me see, Heat, which is where he went up against Robert De Niro, and Robert De Niro was the bad guy. Pacino was the cop that was going after him. That was like kind of obsessed with him. But what's funny is that the speech in that is a good speech. I wanted to play these speeches, but some of them are a little lengthy, and I didn't want to do it to you. But you're more than welcome to check them out on your own. finally, is there anything you want to add on any of those as I'm zooming by them?
No. But Heat is definitely a classic.
Mhm.
We can't forget Val Kilmer. Excellent job as well.
He did.
Movie. And
Devil's Advocate. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And I think you're talking about the speech when he says you got to be ready to go in like a split
Yeah,
second. Yeah, that speech is a classic speech. I don't remember it, but it definitely stuck with me.
I gotta watch Heat again. That was really a great movie. A lot of action, a lot of star power, but just these two guys going up against each other. I think it was the first time they ever came together. And on top of that, they're both New Yorkers. They're both native New Yorkers. Made it even better. And then finally, a big sleeper that a lot of people may not have watched, which Isaac actually made reference to, is Scent of a Woman. That movie was epic. The final scene where he's like in the courtroom and he gives his speech to stand up for the young boy who's on trial where they're trying to expel. Breathtaking. It was awesome. He's a blind ex-military guy that basically is depressed, but I don't want to give too much. It's a really, really good story. As a matter of fact, that movie was so good, I feel like it's been recreated. That movie recently with Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart, where Bryan Cranston was this rich guy who was basically in a wheelchair. It feels like the same type of movie, but you can't compare the two. Kevin Hart was great in it. I'm not knocking any of them. It was a good movie. I enjoyed the movie, but I feel like this is too much of a similarity to the original, which is Scent of a Woman. Nice. So, man, these movies are so good, man. I really I implore you guys to watch them. Like I could watch these things forever and just really be into them. One movie that's been really popular that I wasn't too crazy about, I feel like I need to watch it again, is Donnie Brasco. But a lot of people really like this movie. I don't know what it is about it that I wasn't crazy about, but I felt like the acting was up to par. Both of these guys are both really, really phenomenal actors. But
I watched that recently for the first time.
Yeah, did you like it?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Did you love it? Did you feel like it was epic?
I feel like it's up there.
Okay, it's a good movie. It could be a good movie, but is it epic? We're talking about Devil's Advocate. We're talking about Heat and In Carlito's Way and Scarface and Any Given Sunday. Those are epic.
Yeah.
Was Donnie Brasco epic?
I think that it was a humble role for him because it was him chasing a higher position, chasing the limelight, not realizing he's being duped in multiple ways by what's the co-star? I forgot his name just now.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Not realizing that in the crime world, Johnny Depp is outshining him. And the flip side, Johnny Depp was actually in law enforcement. So
it was they flipped it on you, the storyline. Yeah.
Yeah. So the movie was dope. I believe it definitely deserves a place amongst one of his better movies, but I wouldn't call it epic because it's one of the few movies where he never really gets to shine. Like he's begging for shine. And it's like he knows he has the connections. He knows he's very knowledgeable, but he's still treated like a minion.
I gotta watch it again, man. It's been so long since I watched it that it doesn't ring any bells. But I know once I watch it, it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
But all right. Is there anything else you want to add before we close off? Because we can go about this forever. Al Pacino. I mean, you got the Godfathers. People love him in the Godfather. The Godfather's classic. He was in He's been in so many movies. Just look at the background. He got so many faces, man. He has so many faces. I really wish I could show some of his speeches, but again, I don't want. It's a pain in the ass when you air these things, and then they have sponsors and all that stuff, and then basically, then they'll. It was just annoying.
Yeah, I don't remember him in Ocean's 13.
Hey, I mean, there was a lot of star power in there. He didn't have to like carry that movie,
But the recruit was also
The
excellent.
Recruit. That's what I was thinking about. The Recruit was a nice little storyline. Ocean's 11. He basically, like you have George Clooney and all those stars, and they carried that movie. He was just basically the nemesis that was basically getting in their way. He was that guy who basically had the money, and they were trying to rob. I think were they trying to rob his locations, his casinos and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. But still great. He's in a lot of things very currently that I haven't watched. I want to watch The Irishman. He's on something on
he was in Dick Tracy as well.
He was in Dick Tracy. That's correct. Yes, he was. I was watching some of his scenes in that. Dick Tracy I wasn't crazy about, but that's the movie for the time. Dick Tracy was really popular. The movie came out. I remember watching it. I remember getting some toys from Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
I remember Flathead. Was it Flathead? And then who was the guy who would talk backwards? I forgot his name. Wait,
I just remember having
Mumbles. Was it Mumbles?
The yellow.
They will play everything he said backwards, and then it would make sense. But that's a comic. That's a remake of something else. But he's masterful, man. I give him a lot of credit, and I can say that I'm proud that he's a native New Yorker. He's from our hometown. So I'll find time to watch some of his current stuff. But if there's nothing else you want to add, well, let's close off. So we've been on for over an hour.
Yeah, that's good, man. Listen, I definitely enjoyed this episode. I look forward to watching some more of his movies. And, it shows you how you love a guy, but you only know a fraction of his work. It shows you how good he is, So I'm going to watch that Sin of a Woman. And as I was looking through this list, I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch some of this stuff.
Yeah, man. Some really good movies, man. Yeah. What are you going to watch first? I'm just curious.
Well, from your suggestion, I'm going to watch Sin of a Woman, but I want to watch Righteous Kill.
Righteous Kill is all right.
I don't remember it, so I want to check that out.
That's with him and De Niro again.
Yes. I wanted to see what was it Manglehorn?
Never seen him.
Yeah, that came out.
Scarface video game was all him. I remember that. Yeah.
2014. Manglehorn. So Sin of a Woman, and I want to see Righteous Kill because I don't remember.
Watch Serpico. Watch Galito's Way. Watch Dog Day Afternoon. Watch.
I did watch Donnie Brasco recently.
Yeah, that wasn't one of his best ones, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
Frank Serpico was an interesting story because, bro, they had a hit on his head for the longest, man. They were he got shot in the face. They wanted him to die. I think in his they wrote him a card from his peers, and they basically say die slow. Like, they were they hated him, and they had a guard on the door, and the guard was like, don't go in there. He's one of the enemies, because basically everybody was in on the take back then. And it's pretty crazy, man, that this actually happened. I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't in my lifetime because I was born in 80.
Right.
It's happened right before 80. But this was part of your city, man. This is your part of your city. And if you think about it, all the police issues that we're having now and so on, and then you hear a story like this, we've come a long way.
Yeah.
We've come a long, long way. And of course there is corruption still, but there's still a lot of great cops out there.
Yeah.
So if you can think about it, think of a world where every cop was on the take and you couldn't trust anybody, like it's a scary world to live in, and this is somebody, somebody was brave enough to go up against all that, man.
Dared to go against it.
So it's a very, very strong story. But again, watch it at your leisure, at your convenience, and then let me know. Just all I ask is let me know what you think about it when you see it.
Definitely. Any similarities to what's that movie with Denzel, Kingdom Come?
I don't remember Kingdom Come, but it sounds familiar with Denzel. Have I watched Kingdom Come? Let me look it up. Hold on.
Is it with Alex Crow? Kingdom Come, but Kingdom Come, there was some corrupt cops there as well. It touches on it, but it wasn't about corrupt cops. But it definitely touches on it, and it's like back in the day, might have been the 70s. I'm not sure.
I'm looking it up. Hold on, bro. I've never watched this movie. I've never watched this movie with Denzel. That's another great actor that you can have a whole episode towards.
Yeah.
You know, like he has so many amazing movies that he's a part of.
Mhm.
You know, but definitely. I guess we'll pick who we go with next soon. But let's close it off right here. Thank you guys for checking us out. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys for your versions of your Pacino-isms like this.
I don't know what to say, really.
Anything. Don't say anything, Smitty. Don't say anything.
Fly Pelican. Come on, Pelican.
Do you know who I am? I'm Tony. Tony
Tony Montana.
Yeah.
Tony Montana. That's a famous scene too, where he was in the camp in the beginning for refugees or whatever, when he came from Cuba, and they were like, "Where you from? Where you from? What's your name?" He was like, "Montana, Tony Montana."
Mm.
You know, like it was a horrible version of a Cuban, but it became so popular, and it's not a hard thing to impersonate. So it's a huge hit. People still love it. You know, sometimes I feel like, why do you love this movie so much, man? You know, there's so many other movies that are so much better. But you know, it just hit. Some movies come at a certain time and they just hit. You know.
Yeah.
Let me read this comment before we go off. Nobody mentioned The Recruit, The Insider. Both movies that I recommend. The Recruit was decent. I liked it. I liked Al Pacino more than I liked the other guy in that movie. But it was a decent storyline. The Insider, I'm trying to remember it. I'll check it out later. But yeah, definitely check out those movies. Again, he's a part of so many great movies. I'm just looking at the pictures in the background. Trying to remember where all these movies are from. But Dog Day Afternoon was an interesting movie, man. A bank heist based on a true story, and they basically flipped the story on you. Some things. Like, I think there was a point where they were like, "Where do you want to fly?" You know, he has all the. You know, where do you want to go? You're thinking, "I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to South America. I want to go here." And he was like, excuse me for saying this, like, I don't remember which state, but he ended up choosing a state. He was like, "I want to go to Missouri," and they were like, "Missouri's in the United States. Like, don't you want to get away from us?" Like, he was like, "No, I want to go to Missouri." Like, he didn't say Missouri, but he said a state.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What is wrong with this guy? This guy isn't too sharp." So that was a really good story too. That was early in his career.
Nice.
So, all right, guys, thank you so much. Anything else you want to end with, G?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. Dope movies, definitely dope actor, and I got some things to watch. You know what I mean? I got some movies to watch.
Bro, I'm gonna keep you busy, man. I love movies, man. You have no idea.
But listen, we all know of movies. We all have all these streaming services and different things. And guess what? A lot of times we don't know what the hell to watch.
Yeah.
It's great. And let us go back and find some of those old gems that we might have overlooked.
How about we all get Dodgeball is funny as hell. Was he in Dodgeball?
Was he?
I don't remember. Pacino was in Dodgeball? All right, I'll look that up, right? What I was going to say was, let's all get vaccinated so we can all hang out, and I'll put it on the projector in the backyard, and we can watch some of these classics while we eat a burger, while we social distance, whatever that we got to do throughout these hard times, you know? Yeah. But that's a cool little movie thing to do, you know? Watch a classic outside, you know?
You were. Well, guess what, man?
Assuming the weather permits.
I'm all vaccinated, man, so I'm ready. Whenever you're ready.
Nice. I get my second shot tomorrow, so wish me luck.
Nice. Hey, I tell you one thing. I didn't have any bad results. I hear a lot better with this third ear in the back of my neck, but other than that, you know,
You're gonna have to get headphones that work with this.
that was good, man. A little fatigue after both shots, like the next day,
Yeah,
a little fatigue, but nothing drastic, nothing. I didn't need to call out of work, and I didn't feel sick. So grateful. No terrible side effects. I'll definitely keep you posted.
definitely. But hey, guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for participating. If there's anything you want to see, if there's anything you want us to aim the episode next week at, a certain actor, certain whatever, let me know. But also keep in mind, you gotta give us time. If it's a tough topic, I'm gonna need a little time. So yeah, I welcome the opinions, and if there's anything you want to see, and then we'll figure it out. So guys, remember, do what you love and love what you do. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm good, man.
Yo, catch y'all later. Catch you guys later, and RIP Aya. Later.